Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two American whiskeys, and let's break it down. This one is Royal. Kentucky bourbon whiskey with natural flavors, and it's got a royal blue label with a crown. I didn't think Kentucky had a king, but apparently they do. And it says finest quality. Well, it's kind of hard to believe for only $7.99. It says bottled by Kentucky Distilling Company, Bardstown, Kentucky. But it's Heaven Hill, because anytime you see this symbol on the neck, this gold neck with the red symbol, red and gold symbol, whatever that's supposed to mean, that's Heaven Hill, okay? No age statement, so we know it's at least 4 years old. It's 80 proof, and it's not Kentucky straight bourbon because it has natural flavors added, so it can't be straight bourbon. It's got to be blended bourbon. Okay, I don't even think Heaven Hill acknowledges this on their website. Let's see. Now, first, the competitor is Virginia Black. I've got some left. You can see how much I have left. About 40% of the bottle. Virginia Black. It's got a mirror for the label. It looks like a cologne bottle from 1986 at J.C. Penney. Virginia Black, introduced in 2016. I'm done with mirrors. 2016. That is a wild looking bottle, says Jay Grizzle. Yeah, it is. Like I said, it looks like a cologne bottle, which is what I think they're trying to make it look like. There's the backside. The backside is just paper. All right. It's a blend of bourbons aged 2, 3, and 4 years. All right. So it's a blend. It's different bourbons. And it's from Indiana, because it says on the back, distilled in Indiana. Now, remember, you always have to go with the youngest stated age. So the youngest whiskey in here is 2 years old, so they have to call it a 2-year-old whiskey. You could have a 50-year-old whiskey, been aging in barrels for 50 years, but if you blend it with a 2-year-old whiskey, it's got to be called a 2-year-old whiskey. And that's why a lot of companies don't put an age statement like Johnny Walker. Well, their basic Johnny Walker does. You know, the red label says age 3 years, at least 3 years. But the other higher grades, they don't usually put an age statement, because Johnny Walker whiskey from Scotland, they'll take some of the whiskeys from barrels that's like 40 years old. But then they blend it with a lot of young whiskey that might only be 3 years old. It's got to be at least 3 years old in Scotland. And then they have to call it a 3-year-old whiskey. Like, they don't want to sell Johnny Walker Black Label as a 3-year-old whiskey. So they just don't make an age statement. You understand? No, I mean, now, Virginia Black. This was not $7.99. No. This was actually $5 for the half-size bottle. I bought 2 halves. I got a whole. So it cost me $10. $10 for Virginia Black. $7.99 for Royal. Now, Royal, that's the normal price. I bet you go anywhere, it's about $7.99. But not Virginia Black. I don't know why Savannah Discount in Marrero, Louisiana, on Louisiana Highway 45 northbound, was selling this for $10 a bottle. I don't understand that. Because if you look on the websites for the liquor stores, the lowest you're going to find is $37.99. I just checked. I know Mathern's got it over here for $38, or it might have gone up. I just finished checking the Total Wine and More website, and they got it for $44.99. So I got a really deep discount, did I not? I got a $40 bottle for $10. And you won't hear me complaining. Now, Why don't they call it bourbon? They just call it Virginia Black American whiskey. Why they don't call it bourbon? Well, let me tell you why. It says not from Virginia. I like what it said. Not from Virginia. It's from Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So it's contract distilled at, the big old Seagram's distillery from 1847. It still says Seagram's on side the building, that tall tower, but it's owned by Midwest Grain Products now. I think the tower is so tall, they didn't think it was worth the effort and the expense to take Seagram's off the side of it. So tall, and they say, oh well, let it stay. Let it stay till it wears off. Same thing with Majestic Brewing in Baltimore County. If you go to Baltimore County, Maryland, there's this big thing called Majestic. What's a factory? A whiskey factory. It's called Majestic Distilling. Majestic Distilling, right next to the railroad track. They don't give tours. You can't go on the property. It's production only facility. But on the side of the bricks, if you look, this guy walked down the railroad tracks and took photos. It still says Monumental Distilling. Well, it's like old paint that's wearing off. Monumental Distilling, because it was called Monumental Distilling for decades, and then it got bought out. I think Sazerac took it over and they changed it to Majestic Distilling. I don't know why. And that's where they bottle 400 Club 400 whiskies, which apparently is real popular in the Baltimore area. Club 400. I found some in North Alabama. Actually, it was one of the better blended American whiskeys that I've had. Club 400. The name is kind of like, it sounds cheap, like, what does that even mean? They got 400 people in the club. So the name is a mystery, Club 400. But anyway, it's just an example of these buyouts, and they changed the name, but they didn't want to take the time and effort to change the building with that big painted brick. That's really hard to remove, the paint. Then you can paint over it, but then you got all this paint. You got to keep painting it. They just left it brick. Let it stay. All right. Only people see it is on the railroad track, and they probably pay no mind to it. Now, I know the Virginia Black may be darker, so I'm going to avoid looking at these. Oh, back to the main story. Why is it not called bourbon? It's a blend of 3 bourbons: 4-year age, 3-year age, and 2-year age. But they call it whiskey. You say, well, bourbon is a type of whiskey. I know that. I understand that. But I'm going to tell you why. Because I think they had flavoring added and coloring added. And since it's not blended bourbon, meaning it doesn't have grain spirits added as a percentage, they just call it whiskey. You could do that, call it whiskey. It is whiskey, so there you go. You got yourself covered legally. You're not calling it bourbon and all of that. Okay. Now, I don't know how Royal gets away with it. I don't know how Royal says Kentucky bourbon with natural flavors when it's illegal to add flavors to bourbon, unless it's blended bourbon. But they don't call it blended bourbon. But that's the same case for some other ones I've seen. The new Kentucky Tavern bottles I've been seeing says bourbon with natural flavors added. 10 High, bourbon with natural flavors added. Then this Royal, that's 3 right there, and there's others. So couldn't tell you the answer, but I think I know the answer. I think it's I can't say definitively because I really don't know, but I think the best guess is that the Royal is a blended bourbon, but they're just not saying it. But by default, they're assuming that you would know that. But I mean, yeah, right. I'm sure most customers get on the internet and read all the regulations for bourbon on the Tax and Trade Bureau website. But then on the other hand, they probably don't care, they probably don't care about the regulations. So that's something to consider. And especially the people paying $7.99 for a bottle, you know they're not concerned. If they were concerned, they wouldn't be paying $7.99 for a bottle. They'd be buying high level stuff, high grade bourbon. Nothing wrong with that either. I'm not a reverse snob. I'm not saying people that only buy expensive bourbon, there's something wrong with them. No. Buy whatever you want. It's like saying, well, they charged too much for the concert. Well, they didn't charge too much. If you're willing to pay, then they didn't charge too much. If you go to the concert and have fun, you pay $150, good. I mean, I wouldn't do it, but if that's what you want to do with your money, pay $150 to go see some old singer who hadn't had a hit song since 1982, go ahead. But you can't say they charge too much. That doesn't fit with free enterprise. Free enterprise is you charge whatever the people are willing to pay. Or you could charge less. You could be kind-hearted, and what you should be, not try to be a hustler and a swindler. I shouldn't use the word swindler because that connotes fraud. We don't want to. We can. Free enterprise does not or condone fraud, certainly, which is a type of theft. But you could be kind-hearted and just charge less. I'm picking up a little wood and a little corn, but honestly, on this second smell, I ain't really picking up too much. If I take a deep, deep inhalation, yes. So let me try it one more time. Okay. I really sucked it in my nostrils. The fumes, No, I mean, so I'm getting corn. You say, what about rye? No. What about barley? No. What about wheat? No. Corn. Could this be a bourbon that only uses corn? It could be, and it'd be allowed. It'd be legal. As long as it's 51% corn, you got it. The other 49% is up to you. And if you wanted to make it 100% corn, fine. Wouldn't have much elaboration to it. Wouldn't be too complex. Obviously, it'd be very simple. But then maybe you could sell it for $7.99 a bottle. Got me? Okay. Charred oak. Wouldn't go that far. I would just say wood. Just basic wood on the nose. Now, does it smell bad? It doesn't smell bad. It's like a bowl of grits that you just added water to and no salt. And you heated it up, and it got like the porridge, It wouldn't smell bad. It just would smell like heated up wet corn, you see? Like it would just be like sort of like popcorn, but not popped. Popcorn wet, heated up. And I don't want to eat that. So that's why this morning I added Zatarain's Creole seasoning. I added some black pepper. I added some homemade hot sauce. I diced some onions and I put some Munster cheese in it and some Danish ham. Chopped some ham and put that. So then it was, a lot nicer. Still tastes like corn deluxe though. It's corn crazy. Now I got to drink corn. Oh man. Okay. This one's got a lot more nose on it. And it's got that creme brulee, like burnt caramel type of thing going on, like the roasted marshmallow type thing going on. So I know it's got to be Virginia Black, and that's the flavor that I'm getting on it. And I do not think that's coming just from straight bourbon. I think it's coming from some additive flavor. Not a bad flavor. But they even hint to it on their website. They say finished in a decadent fashion. See, that's like a clue. It says, look, a personally selected collection of 2, 3, and 4-year-old bourbons. This guy Drake, he's a Canadian singer. I know nothing about him. He probably personally selected the bourbons. They said, well, you can try this. Okay, he picked these. He picked a 2, a 3, and a 4-year-old for whatever various reasons. they blended them together, and it's finished with a decadent profile. See, that means something, a decadent profile. And I'm thinking that means they added flavor into it. Drewski Brewski says, cheers, Ron. That is a wild looking bottle. Oh, yeah, I already read that. Jay Grizzle. Hello, Drewski Brewski. All right, so now to taste. Ronaldo Belfaldo. That's right, Ronaldo Belfaldo. All right. But before I taste it, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say this is the Virginia Black. I can tell by the color. Look how dark. I don't believe that's the natural color. There, I do not think you're going to get that deep of a of a copper from a 2, 3, and 4-year-old bourbon blend, unless, now there is a qualification to that contention, unless they were aged in super charred oak, like the level 4. There's a number 4 level charred oak barrel. It's so thick with charcoal, they call it an alligator char. Well, that would work. Yes. Substance D says cheers. Cheers to you. Okay. I'm trying to read without my glasses. I need glasses to see far away. I'm not really far away from the screen, but I'm far enough away. Jeep and Foodie. Caleb says, good morning, Ron. Checking in. Good morning to you. All right. So I got it right on aroma only. So this was one of those challenges where I got it correct on aroma only. I didn't even have to taste it. But I will taste it to see what's better. I know it's going to be better already, but anyway, cheers to you. All right, Virginia Black. I can see why he wanted to add the sugar to it. I'm saying like roasted marshmallow type flavor, creme brulee type situation thing. Because maybe his target audience is not really into straight bourbon so much. They might be more into, let's say, cognac, such as Hennessy, if you follow where I'm going with that. And that target audience might prefer sweet things, sugary things, which is fine, as long as you don't, consume too much sugar, which is a problem for you, but could be a problem for you. Certainly probably would be. But so he's trying to pull that crowd from Hennessy. Is it going to work? Well, not to any kind of important degree, it won't. This is like a niche product. It's not going to be a big seller. I hope he didn't think it was going to be. It's price pointed right around the same price as Hennessy, around $37 to $44. And I'm not saying it tastes like Hennessy, because it certainly does not. It just has that sweet, kind of sweet, sugary aspect that you get with brandy, cognac brandy. And with certain people, certain target audiences in the United States, cognac and regular brandy is very popular. I see, you'll see Paul Masson. I went to Memphis, Tennessee, and I saw people drinking Paul Masson brandy, or one guy at least. And if you go to the liquor stores there, you're going to see Paul Masson everywhere, and you're going to see Christian Brothers everywhere, and you're going to see Hennessy everywhere. And not as much whiskey. I mean, of course you will in the liquor store, but you'll see more of an emphasis on the brandy and the cognac brandy in, like, say, Memphis. Now, if you go to Nashville and to Knoxville, well, you'll see a lot more emphasis on whiskey, but you got a different audience. All right. The Royal. It's much lighter. It doesn't say they add color. It said bourbon with natural flavor. So I don't think they're adding coloring. It looks pretty pale. And if you had a 4-year-old bourbon, and this is at least 4 years old because it's not got no age statement. Yeah, it would be that color. You wouldn't have to add coloring. No, I mean you could. Wouldn't be necessary. They're trying to cut costs. They probably want to save money without adding the coloring. But they said natural flavors. What are those flavors? Honestly, I think it's something simple like just table sugar, like literally just sugar, you know, a bag of sugar, which wouldn't be too expensive. I don't really taste vanilla. Would sugar be a flavoring? Yeah. Bake a chocolate cake without sugar and see how flavorless it is. You won't want to eat it. Uh, yeah, that's about it. It's just simple. It's simple. It's very simple. Would I recommend it? I would recommend it in the sense that if you wanted to see what a $7.99 bourbon tastes like, you could buy it. Because in your mind, you might think, oh no, I would taste so nasty. It would be so bad. I would never dream of buying it. I bet it's just like filth, garbage, like some of these cheap beers. Yeah, now some of these cheap beers are just an atrocity. Okay, I get that. I've had the Milwaukee Special Reserve and Milwaukee Special Reserve Ice. I've had that horror. But with spirits like whiskey, rum, brandy, yeah, it's not as bad. You know, like they're cheap, the cheap brandy. It ain't good. Uh, Go try some Hartley if you want to find out. But it's not horrendous. You understand? It's just like obviously substandard, and that's what this is. And if you want to mix it with Campbell's tomato juice, eh, go ahead, be fine. Uh, if you want to blend it or mix it with milk, I know somebody told me his grandmother drinks milk with whiskey in it. Yeah, fine. I mean, you could just use vodka for that matter. Just if you want the 40%. And I know some places got vodka for $5.99. $5.96 at Walmart. They got Caliber vodka at Walmart, $5.96. But why pay that when you can get a whole handle, an entire handle, which is more volume per ounce, for $10.96. $10.96. Caliber vodka. Is it any good? I don't know. I never tried it. I asked a guy in a checkout at Walmart one time. I said, "Is that stuff any good?" Oh, he said, "Oh, no, 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 no. It's garbage." He said, "But we making Jello shots for New Year's Eve." So he said it's fine for that. I said, "Okay." And it was New Year's Eve afternoon when I was checking out. So in that kind of utility. Now, but you might say, no, I want whiskey because whiskey is going to add a little more flavor. So that's what I want to use. Okay, fine. Yeah. Does this taste like whiskey? Legally, it has to. That's the law. Legally, it has to have, as the government says, the aroma and flavor generally associated with whiskey. Yeah, it does. It does. It has a little nuttiness in that and a little charred, but the flavors are just so low. The flavors are low. I didn't say bad. I said low, meaning lack of flavor. So it's actually illegal in the United States to make a whiskey that tastes like cognac, or to make a whiskey that tastes like gin, or to make a whiskey that tastes like rum, unless you qualified the statement. If you said, like you made a new brand, Shablip whiskey, Shablip rum flavored whiskey. Yeah, of course you could do that. Shablip rum flavored whiskey. Okay, because now you're letting the customer know it's some kind of weird concoction thing. Okay, fine. But you could not sell Shablip whiskey, just call it Shablip whiskey, American whiskey bottled in Tennessee, for instance, and then it tastes like rum. That's illegal. Now, I don't know how they enforce it. Yeah, I didn't say it. There's any enforcement, but the enforcement is through tort. You see, somebody could claim, "Oh, I got tricked. I bought this whiskey and it tastes like rum." Now, I don't know what kind of damages you would receive. I mean, you're not going to go to court because the judge is going to say, "Well, okay, well, all I have to do is give you a refund." Just get your money back. And if you claim you had to pay gasoline to go to the store and get it, okay, so it costs you $7.99, and they give you $20 and get lost. So, but and then the Tax and Trade Bureau might go to the whiskey company and say, look, it's got to, that's the regulation. It's supposed to taste like whiskey. So instead of going through all of that, they follow the regulations. Simple, it's routine, it's basic. Okay, now let's go with the comments. Then I'm out of here. You could only pull a crowd away if you market it heavily towards them, right? And how many commercials and ads you ever seen for Kentucky for Virginia Black? Exactly, none, never. They put it on the shelf. Why did they have it for $10 a bottle by me? Well, I say by me, 50 minutes away, an hour away. Common sense, because it wasn't selling. And some distributor just probably told Savannah Discount, hey, you want this stuff as a dump? I call it a dump. It's supposed to be $40, but we'll sell it to you so cheap you can sell it for $10. They say, yeah, okay. My local store does the same thing. I call it a dump. You think you could normally find Jim Beam Peach for $6.99 for a liter? A liter, you heard me? No, you cannot. Go on Total Wine, it's like $20-some, or like 18 or 19. No, for a liter, yeah, it's $20-some. I guess it could be some situation where some liquor chain ordered a whole bunch and then they went out of business and they filed bankruptcy or something like that. And the distributor Glazers was like, oh, hey, or Republic National was like, you want to buy all this? We'll sell it to you for $5.99 a liter, and then you could turn around and sell it for $6.99 if you want, whatever. They say, yeah, sure. They sold every bottle because you're selling it for 25% of the price. You're selling it for 75% off. I never had Jim Beam Peach. I don't know if it's any good, but for 75% discount, I'll try it. You know what I mean? It's like this famous vodka. What's this vodka called? It's famous. Like a lot of people drink it. But it was the oh man, it's from France. It's actually French vodka, and it's called pumpkin spice flavored. Did I have any great desire to drink pumpkin spice flavor vodka? No, I didn't have any desire to drink vodka actually. But for $1.99 a bottle, I'm talking about a full-size bottle. Pinnacle, that's what it's called, Pinnacle. That's a famous, pretty well-known vodka. Of course, I'm gonna buy it. John and Neil said, man, for $1.99 a bottle, I'd have bought 10 of them. Gave them away as gifts. I saw a liquor guy, a beer distributor guy. He saw that price. He said, "I'm gonna buy one for my girlfriend, but I'm not gonna tell her it was $1.99. She's gonna think it was like a real nice gift." I said, "Oh, you dog." I tried it. Tastes fine to me. Tastes like pumpkin spice, like a pumpkin pie in a bottle. Virginia Black. It's fine. I wouldn't pay $40 for it. It's got that little creme brulee flavor. I wouldn't have bought it at all, really. I don't really have a desire to buy a whiskey that looks like it's in a cologne bottle. It looks like you could take the cap off and spray it, like. But I wouldn't go to work with whiskey flavored cologne, whiskey aroma cologne on me. But for that, same thing, 75% off. Yeah, I'll buy it. And it worked out. Okay, last comments. I drank Christian Brothers for years till I got a job. Okay, well, yeah. Have you ever seen Papa homemade wine videos on YouTube worth a watch? No, I never heard of it, Travis Tubbs. If you gave it a try making Papa homemade wine, super easy to make. It would be an interesting review. I'm making some now, see how it tastes. It takes 30 days. Well, I understand a lot of people are into home distilling, home venting, and home brewing, but I just have no interest in it, You don't need a paper bag with that bottle, says Kate is the fifth. Well, you need a paper bag in Louisiana because I don't think they're allowed to sell it where it's showing. One of these arcane laws, archaic laws. It's like in Louisiana, we have drive-through daiquiri shops. Can't drink and drive in Louisiana. Used to be able to, but they changed the law about 10 years ago. So we have drive-through daiquiri shops everywhere in the state. So they don't give you the daiquiri with a straw in it. They give you the daiquiri with a straw. They hand you the daiquiri, and then they hand you a straw, sealed in the paper. Now, what you do with that once you leave the drive-through, that's on you. All right. Well, thanks for watching. And Wednesday we're going to do Royal versus an expensive Brooklyn brewed, Brooklyn distilled bourbon, and Royal will have no chance. It will not be a challenge. If you want to skip it, I wouldn't take it personally because you are going to see a disaster. It'll get killed or rated. All right. Thanks, everybody.